guess it's not showing. Anyway, I guess we don't get no intro for the video today, but we already live. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. But yeah, I guess that we don't got no intro for
Right.
today.
It was
But
going. The intro was
whatever.
just going. I was just watching the intro.
I,
Oh shit! I can't hear you. Your mic off.
all right, can you hear me
There you
now?
go. Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's get this
Yeah,
shit
the intro was
going
going,
here.
bro. I saw it.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I don't know, man. You can.
All right, whatever.
I don't got the bad internet no more. You got it now. The internet virus is
I
getting
don't
your
think
ass.
this is the internet. I think it's just a program this time. But anyway, we back again. This is Keepers Clash 2 tonight. We got Opdahl and Chris. And we're gonna
So
get to
busy.
it. But before we get to that, we're gonna let
What's up,
Keno get to
y'all?
whatever he wants to talk about today.
What's up, y'all? We back, man. Shit, man. It's another week. The bar room. If you're new to the hobby, welcome back. Welcome to the Chondro Bar Room. We do this every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central. If you've been here, you're a day one, man. Thank you for coming back to the shenanigans. We appreciate you more than you know. What you got going on this week, Trav?
Coming to the realization that I gotta start taking care of Dio. So
Oh, so yeah,
so that
what
was
day?
it. That's about it.
Brandon, what day you on?
I'm on day 39.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
I'm on
about
day 39. So that's
2 weeks out.
no, I'm probably like less than 2 weeks. Probably like 12 days out, 11 days out, something like that.
So 2 weeks from now
What else?
we had the mongrel hatching.
Yeah, I think what else besides that? Nothing. Just taking care of snakes. I think that this week I've actually been able to put more time into taking care of snakes and shit. So, just taking care of snakes and doing the extras. Getting to the extras besides the basics. So that's what's going on.
All right. I ain't doing nothing. My clutch probably on what
What you
day?
got?
I think my clutch on what day? 7 or some shit. The 26th. It has on the 26th. I mean, she laid on the 26th.
Yeah.
How many days is that? How many days we got?
You don't got a day counter?
I don't know, bro.
How many days in January? 31. So
Yeah.
5 plus 6, that's 11.
We're 11 days in. Cool.
Yeah.
11 days.
Yeah, 11 days in.
Everything looking good. That one
You
that one
start
ain't crashed.
sanitizing stuff. I had to start sanitizing that rack and shit.
One ain't crashed yet. The rack,
See,
yeah,
I
I gotta
told you, bro. You gotta
sanitize the
let it
rack.
keep cooking.
I gotta sanitize the rack. And I gotta I gotta order some new tongs too. That's another one thing I gotta do. I gotta order some new tongs. Get my soap.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I gotta get some
every
chick
time,
down.
bro.
So yeah, every clutch, yeah, I gotta get a new pair of tongs.
I mean, you got a poultry.
What is that?
Yeah, you got some poultry stores there in Chicago too.
I think it's a delayed, dog. You might have to come out and come back in.
So you can just go there, get some chicks. You got some poultry stores in Chicago.
It's on delay.
All right, let me come out and come back in.
Yeah. Or Chevy Chav come out and come back in. But the Neo leading up to the Neo season, and approaching the Neo is coming is crazy. I was talking to Tuck. Me and him going back and forth because he got some Neos coming too soon, and just the preparation of that. Uh, I guess the anxiety of that and the nervousness of that coming back. And
All right, I'm back now.
all right, so yeah,
All
no,
right.
I'm just talking about the preparation of the Neo. Leading up to the Neos. Doing what we was talking about. Sanitizing the rack, getting new tongs, all that.
Buying pinkies,
Yeah, getting all that shit ready. So
buying extra bottles of liquor to keep in the garage.
extra rolling papers on my end.
Oh man, I was gonna tell you, bro. Uh, when I went to go get my mom, I had to go because I talked to you when I went to the store earlier. Uh, but I had to go back to a different cigar store to get my mom's cigars, and I found some cigars that I have been
Man,
looking
look,
for
dog, we had
months.
one conversation, y'all, right? Like 3 weeks ago, and this man been on a mad cigar spree ever
I've been on the
since.
same spree. I just
Ever
had
since,
nobody to
bro.
talk. I had nobody to talk to about it. I've been on. Listen, I got probably 4 or 5 tubs full of cigars downstairs. I
He
just
said
smoke them by myself.
Tubbs, man.
I got I got 4 or 5 brilliance tubs full of cigars. I got a lot of.
That man went and signed up for a cigar membership at a lounge, local lounge, the cigar club, all this. This man is,
So what? No,
just
this
like he in that Broham 88 era. That 80,
nah.
that 80, that 88, 84 Delta.
When was it back? It must have been back in like October or November. But it's a cigar store down the street from me, the one I went to for my mom. And he was like, "Hey, you can get a membership here for $300." And I was just like, "I'm not paying you $300. Sit in a room with no alcohol, bro." Uh, so yeah, that was the first time I thought about getting a private cigar club membership. But yeah,
They don't got a bar inside there?
nah, man, it's just a room.
Okay.
It's just a room. So they got another one called Cigars International. I was hitting that place up. Uh, and I like after work I'd go there occasionally. And we had a work meeting there, a work outing at Cigars
Okay.
International probably a few weeks ago. But yeah, I got a shitload of cigars, bro.
Y'all fancy?
Who's fancy? I'm fancy.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not fancy. I'm just a
That's,
dude.
that's a rich man hobby.
What, cigars?
Yeah.
Nah, man. I think you probably invested way more into your smoking habit than I have. Why you over there talking shit?
Ah, a lot of money spent.
A lot of money spent abusing lungs, bro.
Well,
Hey, cheers to the lungs, bro.
shout out to the lungs. You know
Shout
what I'm
out to the
saying?
lungs, bro. All right,
We
so
gonna
I think
take
that we,
care of it.
I think we pretty much got through it all.
Oh,
So you want to?
shout out to all the bar members, man. There's a lot of bar members that's
Yeah, what up, Chad? Chad, you
first
don't
off
ever
shout out
come
to
around no more.
yeah, shout out to all the bar members pulling up tonight. Um but shout out especially to the ones that's with eggs. I mean, you've been talking about this, but there's been a lot of bar room members, people that have been listening that getting eggs and hatching this year, and no credit to us, but you know that Christmas episode, I think that really said it all. And, I want to say shout out to the members up in here consistently that's having success with their eggs, the breeding before the eggs, and then the success establishing neos afterwards. Man, salute to y'all. And then shout out to our keepers too, man, because at the end of the day, before anybody was breeding, there was keepers. And there's nothing wrong with being a keeper first, mastering the basics of keeping. So do that.
So,
And with that,
all
we can bring,
right. So
I,
we're
s-
gonna bring on Chris from Snake Spirit, and y'all
Serial
know
killer.
Opdahl. Listen, leave my friend alone. Leave my friend alone.
Sophisticated one.
Starting right off with the serial
What
killer.
up, y'all?
I knew it. I knew it was
Yeah, man.
if
Stop.
it if it ain't some serial killer bullshit, is now I got a racist snake too. The other day it was one of my snakes was racist because it was biting a black glove, right?
Oh damn!
I remember that. See?
Y'all wanna know what's
Yeah.
crazy? I told Keno the other day, I think it was yesterday, that me and a co-worker of mine had a conversation about this dude that looks like a serial killer, and he looked nothing like you,
See?
Chris.
Yeah. Who had this
Keno,
conversation?
I
Who
don't even
brought
take offense to it anymore. I don't think there's been
who
a single white guy on the
first
show
off
that Keno hasn't called a
first off,
serial killer at
who
this
brought
point.
this up? Who brought this conversation up, Travis?
Who?
The latest serial killer conversation.
Oh, the one from yesterday?
Yes.
That was me.
Exactly. See, because
But
that
it
was
had
not
nothing
me,
to do with
dog.
Chris. It
I'm
had
not the only
nothing to do
one.
with Chris.
And see,
No,
and I
man.
didn't, and I as I told Trav, it's not that I think white people are serial killers. It's just
Okay.
we've only interviewed white people,
Oh, you're
mostly
only wait. It's
predominantly
only
white.
white snake keepers then. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
predominantly. You know what
Okay,
I'm
all right,
saying?
that's
That's
fair enough. That's
so
not
now look,
entirely.
I'm not ruling out. It might be some black serial killers out there with green tree
There are
pythons. We
black
just haven't
serial killers.
But do they
with
have
green
green
tree
tree pythons
Chris,
pythons.
too?
do
That's
you
the
have a
thing.
Yes.
moth farm in your basement?
Do I have a what? A moth farm? Is that what you said?
Do you have a moth farm in your basement?
No.
What the fuck is
I
that?
get you've never seen Silence of the Lambs, like
Oh yeah, I see
See,
Silence of the Lambs.
see, so we know what old dog got in his basement. We know what old dog is.
I've seen Opdahl's entire basement. He showed it to me. There's no dead bodies, no moths, no nothing.
I mean, if he had dead bodies in his basement, bro, why would he show you pictures with dead bodies?
Very good question. Anyway,
that'd be under the concrete.
He's got the plan. He's got it planned out and everything. He knows what he's doing, right?
he probably does. All right, so we're gonna let y'all give y'all a quick little intro about yourselves, and then we'll go and get into topics. I'm gonna get a coin so we can do the coin toss.
Coin
Okay.
toss.
Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go?
I don't
Either
care.
one of y'all can go.
All right, that's
Oh,
fine.
dog, you can go. Chris, you can go.
All right, I'll go. I'll just try to keep it short this time. So, I've been keeping
The Undertaker.
snakes. Started keeping when I was young. Throw me off
Fucking
here with this
keto.
bullshit. So yeah, I started keeping probably like I think I was about 12 years old, 13 years old. Pretty typical, first snake situations. Had a couple corn snakes, a couple ball pythons. Then you start getting more and more different species. Kept some boas. Had an huge albino Burmese for a while. Retics, stuff like that. And then that was before those were all banned, of course, in Florida. And then I started working at a wholesaler. I think it was about 17, 18 maybe. So worked there for a few years. That was an interesting experience. Bringing in, at first the business was a little bit more of like a kind of just a flipper. But eventually it got to the point to where the dude was actually bringing in shipments from Indo. And so that was kind of one of my early experiences with green tree pythons. And technically that was my first chondro, was one that I took home from work that was just a bright yellow badass. It was really quite big to still be yellow, so I don't know. Probably wasn't a Kofiau, but it stood out from the rest of the shipment. And brought that home, and typical chondro bullshit, ended up accidentally killing it within about 24 to 48 hours by I oversprayed with mite spray. So that was just a stupid move. I sprayed it down with mite spray, took off for work, and I had overdone it and came back to a dead snake. So that was a great introduction to chondros.
So you was just spraying? You was spraying at the mice while they were crawling on it.
I sprayed the cage down and then sprayed on the body of the snake. I don't remember what the spray was. It was so long ago. I mean, it was over 20 years ago, so I can't remember what it was at the time. If it was like one of the natural reptile sprays or something, like permethrin or whatever. But I overdid it, whatever it was, and came home to a dead snake, which was a big bummer. And then I got out of keeping for a while after the experience of working at a wholesaler. That kind of, you see a lot of shit, burnt you out. So it burnt me out from keeping for quite a long time. And then back in 2017, I got a chondro again. So technically my second chondro, but kind of a first one as far as a good experience with it. One of my oldest friends actually passed away, and his brother offered me his old green tree that he had had for a few years. And so I couldn't turn it down. I didn't have any snakes at that time, but I couldn't turn it down. So that started all the shit right in. Like I got right back into keeping, like intending to just have one snake, but that quickly changed. So, and then yeah, then it's just gone from there. Grown the chondro collection and gotten into emeralds, and have really been pretty heavier into the emeralds lately than the chondros.
Basins or northerns or both?
All northerns at the moment, yeah. Currently just all northerns. And so I started doing work establishing those and breeding those the last few seasons in a row. I kind of intentionally wanted to do it the hardest way possible and do imports. So
How
I
are they
figured
doing?
I've had really good luck with them. I've lost a few. I think
To the
I've
point to the point where they biting James.
What?
You know, he got some biters out there. You know, people trying to
Yeah.
jack his float. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, there's some biters for sure, but in more ways than one there. But there's I've produced 29 of them so far as the baby emeralds
Oh,
the
nice.
last few seasons, and
He's
I
all from wild card parents.
yeah, all wild caught parents. Well, no, not 100% sure. I do have one of the females was CB, so she was born from my friend Jason raised her up from a
Okay.
baby that was dropped in captivity.
What was the biggest litter that you had?
This year or well, last year I had a litter of 13.
Oh shit, that's nice.
So, and they were all like pretty much perfect babies. That's the best
And how
litter
many
I've
different females?
had. I've had 4 different females drop litters. Let me think. 1, 2, yeah, four different litters or 4 different females. One
Nice.
had 2 litters, but her litter this past year was just bunk. No live babies. It was 2 premature ones, and they didn't live more than a few hours. So,
Yeah,
but her
I
first litter
remember that.
wasn't really all that great either. So I don't know if it was the particular pairing. Still trying to kind of work through those kind of things, trying to figure it out. You know, if it's down to certain males or just certain pairings, or if it was different conditions, that kind of
Timing.
thing. Yeah, all that.
Have
Hey,
you had any
Opdahl.
that? What's that?
Hey, you want to do your intro?
Yeah.
Sure.
I started rambling. Yeah, you can go. You can go.
Yeah, I've been keeping snakes for more than 40 years now. I guess it's I started when I was like 7, 8 years old, just checking shit out in the woods around my house, and
Mhm.
then I started kind of keeping stuff, local species that I could catch and keep, hognose, black rats, milk snakes, stuff like that. All sorts of stuff though, turtles, lizards, everything. And then started the first things I was able to produce were a pair of corn snakes that I caught on the way to Florida. Caught a pair under a garbage can on the side of the road, and brought them home, bred them, got eggs, hatched them, and so those were the first babies that I raised up. Then I was able to hatch out some rough green snakes,
I love
and
those. Are so cool.
then I did start with like boa constrictors. I had about 3 or 4 boa constrictors that I started with when I was like 12, and produced my first litters when I was like 12, 13 years old of boas. And from there, I just started, getting more into the boas. And then I kind of thinned things out for a while. I had a first pair of green tree pythons, was like,
What happened to him?
He probably got a call or
Mike
something.
got cute. Oh shit! Yeah, his whole shit's cut off. I was gonna say it was just muted, but well, we'll see what happens
He
there.
might have got a call or something.
Yeah, could have called through.
I need to ask. You want to wait for him or what?
Yeah, we'll give him a couple minutes.
All right.
We'll give him a couple
Oh, he's
minutes
back.
to come back. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Yeah, that.
Oh shit, he disappeared again.
He said he had his first.
Spoke
He
too
had his
soon.
first clutch at 12-13. Huh?
Yeah,
That was early.
that's a lot of years.
Yeah, especially it's dope to do ball pythons and boas, or I'm sorry, boas that early because yeah, I did corn snakes at around that age, but corn snakes are so easy. Just basically put them together. Actually, that first time I bred them was on accident. I just put them in the same cage and didn't even know they were a pair.
That was your first time breeding with pair of corn snakes?
Yeah, it was a pair of snow corn snakes, and I didn't even know if they were a pair or anything. I just put them in the same
Snow
tank.
corns, the white and pink ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Well, what happened? Talk to us about that.
Oh man, Tim is here.
What happened?
James is still using dial-up.
What
It's
up,
gonna be a
Tim?
tough one, yeah.
We got a lot of people coming in.
What's going
Yeah,
on, Tim?
Chad came back into the fold.
Chad Hawkins.
Tim's here.
Everybody.
Like, do we know what's up with James yet, or are we still in?
No.
Just all know.
James, Tyler
I don't know.
Woods.
What happened to him? Let's give him
Oh,
Let's give him 2 minutes.
Bill.
Keno, you'd asked about the corn snakes. I just
Yeah,
basically just put them
how
in.
did that go?
I can't remember if I was cleaning the cage, and I think I had them separate originally,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason I put them together, and I just saw them, digging around through the aspen, and then I can't remember if it was right. It wasn't immediately, of course, but it was pretty soon after I put them in there. I came in and they were wrapped up, and it's like, oh shit! All right, now I guess I got a pair, and they're trying, they're breeding. So,
Ew. Sorry about that.
Cause my first snake was was a snow corn.
Oh yeah, I loved those back in the day. They were super cool.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. So you back now?
Fucking Tommy Exotic fucking blew up my phone. I forgot to mute his ass.
I figured that's what it was. Who was that?
Hey,
Tommy, you talking about Tommy Budway?
Yeah, Tommy.
Hey, tell him get in here.
Yeah, tell him to pull up. Get in our comments.
All right,
Yeah,
so
motherfucker. I think Andy's watching.
Andy's here, Tim's here. Climb the telephone pole to check the connection. All right, so Chris, we're gonna let you call it in the air. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails it is.
Hey,
So
but
you wanna
no.
go first?
Hey, but hold on. James had to finish. He had to finish.
Oh, yeah,
up.
yeah,
He was. He was talking about he was breeding at 12 and 13. That's what he
No,
was
so
talking about.
yeah, I got
Chris, you can still go though when we
the
get
first couple of green trees I got. I was able to get, that was like 30, almost probably like 27 years ago. I got eggs out of them, but she scattered them, and then after that I moved and I lost one of the animals, and then it was like a hiatus from then to try again, and then I got like seriously back into it about 15 years ago, just strictly green trees, and that's when I first had, I raised stuff up for about 3 or 4 years, and then I started trying to breed them, and that's when I was getting success doing it.
He said
That's
27
about,
years ago.
That's
Damn.
it. I mean,
That's a lot of experience.
That's a long time ago.
I mean, I was a little kid when I started, like just studying everything around me. But when I started getting back,
like the Michael Jackson of snakes.
When I started getting into the green trees, though, I mean, that's when there
How old
was
was you
still
when your daddy
a
started beating the
good
shit out of you?
chondro community around where I had a lot of help from, like, originally like Christian and Tim Morris and Buddy and people like Speedy Gonzalez and all those guys helped me out a lot getting my first clutches hatched out.
Rest in peace, Speedy.
Yeah, I've only heard the name. I never knew him.
You know Speedy? You remember Speedy, right?
I don't.
If you see the MVF, you'll see a bunch of posts from him and replies.
Yeah, he lived down in Maryland as well.
Yeah, I remember seeing that name a lot.
Yeah, I still see it.
He had some really
when I
good
go look
stuff.
at the old MVF. Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, do you want to go first, or do you want Opdog to go first?
James, you can go first. That's fine. I'm not sure. You're saying as far as answer first for the next question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, James. Yeah, you can go first. That's fine.
All right. So I'll get it. All right. So the first question up is daily, weekly, monthly, or sparingly care routines. So just tell us about the care routines you perform daily, your care routine that you perform daily, weekly, monthly, or sparingly, which includes yearly.
I mean, I guess daily it's just cleaning shit and cleaning cages and just doing checks on every animal every morning. So, I mean, I've got a lot of animals here, so I mean, not a lot comparatively, but a lot to have actual full size enclosures for and not keeping rats. So, um, I mean, I'm always cleaning first thing in the morning when I wake up, and I just do checks on every animal, and then things like misting as needed for animals in shed, um, just checking how everybody's clean, if they need water. I mean, I don't do anything like ritually for like even water changes. I mean, I'll do them like every 3 days, but if they need cleaning, I mean, they're getting cleaned. So uh, weekly is basically the same scenario, and then every couple of weeks, you got feeding unless it's neos. I mean, because neos I feed usually like every 5 to 7 days when they start. I want to get them into that routine of eating readily, so it's basically muscle memory for them. And then like monthly, I can do like full stripping down of some of the enclosures, uh, just using whatever I do, whether it be like F10 or whatever, sometimes bleach for interiors of enclosures if they need it. I got a lot of my water here is kind of hard. It's well water, but I'll get like a lot of residue on the glass, so I have to clean that shit. But um, it's just basic husbandry stuff. It's um, a lot of if the weather's nice, I'm taking the animals out as I feel needed, especially if females are need to move. If it's nice out, I bring them outside, spray them, mist them. Usually, if I bring females out in the grass and mist them in the sun, they'll be taking a dump within like 20 minutes. It's good, get them moving around. Sometimes I put them in some of the ornamental trees outside and let them just soak up UV for hours. They'll settle down and fall asleep for hours out there while I cut the grass and shit like that. But that's just basics. I'm
Okay.
not reinventing anything.
I mean that sounds normal. Um, so I wouldn't say
Until
normal.
there's
Well,
something
well,
abnormal. I mean,
well. To some people,
you
that's
come
normal.
home and there's the snake's ass hanging out when it shouldn't be. I mean, that sucks, but it happens.
That's not part of your care routine. That's medical care.
Well, that's triage when that shit happens.
All right, Chris, you up next.
Similar kind of thing. I guess one difference, I keep a lot of the snakes, a lot of the juveniles, pretty much all the juveniles of chondros and emeralds over water. So I change those out every day, usually every morning. Depends on what's going on. If it's a busy day and can't get to it right in the morning, it's no problem to just do it later in the day. But what I always do is go through and check everything. If there's any tubs that are soiled, then I'll always make sure to just change those right away, so those are done. But I won't go through and change every single tub's water immediately. But they get changed basically daily or at most every other day. And then most of the adults, I change the waters every 2 to 3 days, um, depending on again what's going on, and just far as every day to day. But I try not to go more than 3 days anymore. They'll still drink after that, of course, but I just they'll get better. You get better response if you do it a little more often. So that's what I try to do. Cleaning shit, same kind of thing. I use a variety of different caging. A lot of the stuff I'm using is tubs, not really in racks, but just in tubs with the lids. But I also have some of the old school arboreal acrylic cages with the pull out drawers, and those are my favorite by far.
Those are
Because
cool.
it's so doesn't seem like it'd be a big deal, but it's so convenient for changing water
Don't want
bowls.
the ones that slide at the bottom.
Yeah, it's got a sliding tray at the
Yeah.
bottom, so changing water out makes it really, really easy, and then also cleaning it because I don't have to deal with a ornery adult female emerald that might not be in the greatest mood that day or something, and so I just slide the tray out, clean everything I need to clean, slide it back in. It's definitely a lot less hassle. So that's pretty much day to day stuff. Weekly, generally, I'm feeding something every few days if it's either neos or if it's not the winter. In the wintertime, I fast everything, so all the adults and a lot of the sub-adults, I don't feed them for about 3 months. And then but the babies, I got babies right now, so I'm not chondros. I got baby emeralds at the moment. But the chondros, I'm feeding them similar to James, like anywhere from about every 4 or 5 days, usually trying to get them rocking and rolling as fast as possible so that they're sight feeding. And just seems to me like generally with baby snakes, the faster you get their digestive system stable and accustomed to the prey we give them in captivity, the better.
Amen.
Emeralds, like you
Amen.
can't feed emeralds like that though. Emeralds would just back up and croak if you were feeding them every 4 or 5 days. So definitely different with them. I feed the neo emeralds generally. It's about every 2 weeks. But I don't do it on an exact schedule. But it's about every 2 weeks. But I'm not afraid to let them go 3 or sometimes do it 10 days, whatever.
Cause that's
Someone's
old
got-
school stripper music.
So
Oh, you
Who's
got one in each hand?
Who's ringtone? Who's got the
That was-
stripper ringtone?
that was a timer.
Those are
that was a
70s
timer.
porn.
Oh, that's the timer?
Oh, that's the
Yeah, that
timer.
was a timer. So I'm gonna bring it back
For
to
some,
James
what
real
is
quick.
that like? You got like there you got to start collecting money from the.
I thought
blade,
that
or
Brian
what?
Jet.
Listen, this shit about me collecting money from
I'm just
whores has to fucking stop.
I'm just
I
This
kidding.
shit
ain't
is not true.
Hey y'all, if y'all are gonna call me a serial killer, I got to at least throw some shit back at you.
I mean, that's fair, but Keno's the one that said that shit.
True.
It's
Yeah,
not
that was
me.
an unfair shot to you. That was an unfair
He
shot to
said
you.
a blade. Oh,
Hey, Chris, what do you start out the baby emeralds on?
So far I've just always used hopper mice or rat pinks, but
That's
I haven't
nice.
tried ace. I have so right now I have 16 babies that are between 2 litters. The litter of 13 they've been almost perfect. Only one of them didn't eat willingly. The other all took either frozen thawed first try or second try, or I think I had one of them that didn't want frozen thawed, but it took a live hopper, and that they've just been rocking and rolling really easy. Only one from that litter has been a pain, and I've assist fed that one a mouse head and a rat pink head a couple of times.
Do you
then the
find
last
that
litter,
you have to scent them at all, or no?
I've had a few that I did. Like I used chicken broth on 1 or 2 of them. I used canned salmon juice on 1 or 2 of them over the course. But for the most part, they react way better to mice than the baby chondros do.
Yeah.
But I think in general what I'm seeing so far is that it seems to be a matter of the more fully developed and kind of I guess ready to go they are at birth, they seem to be much easier to start. If I look at everything I've produced so far, the ones that are a pain in the ass are pretty much all the ones that came out, I think, slightly premature. And so they had, either a big yolk sac or they're dragging a lot of umbilicus tissue. And the ones that have been just perfect feeders, really, really easy to get going, are the ones where they're born, they got a little bit of an umbilicus tissue, they don't have a lot hanging from them. It slips right off within an hour of them being born, and they're just, ready to go. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the deal
You
is with that.
you referring to multiple seasons, right? Not just this last.
Yeah,
litter
it's
that
over.
you had.
Yeah, it's over
Okay.
three seasons in a row, I think.
How soon do you try to feed them after they're born?
I wait to the first shed usually, but I don't like
With them,
immediately.
you do?
Yeah, usually I do that with the chondros too. I wait for them to have the first shed, and then depending on what's going on with them, I don't necessarily immediately. I usually wait till either all of them have had their first shed or just about all of them, because usually shedding within a few days of each other, but might have a straggler that's a week behind or something. And then start trying from there. And one of the things I've done this season that seems to be working a little bit better, just like with the condors, I seem to be having better luck doing it during the day rather than trying at night.
Okay.
That's cool.
So I don't know, but I've only really done that this time. The other ones I was kind of doing it at random times, either at night or during the day, but I've tried to always only feed them during the day this time, and it seems to be working better.
Cool.
But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so nothing too crazy there. I do want to try some ASFs.
For the emeralds?
Yeah, to see if that'll get some started. That are picky.
So if they start off on you got an emerald that start off on rat pinks, where every time you move it up, you just keep it on rats, or do you switch the diet up?
Well, it depends on what the snake will do. So my favorite ones are the ones that'll just eat. It doesn't really matter what you offer them; they'll just eat it. If they'll take a mouse, take a rat. They don't really give a shit. They'll just slam instantly. But I do have some that really don't seem to. They only want rats from the beginning, or they only want mice until they're larger. And so if they're real picky and they only want to do rats, then I just feed them what they'll eat and move it up in size gradually. If they'll eat both, then I just will usually mix it up. But I kind of prefer to feed them mice, just because it seems like it's a little bit better of a meal, especially because they get on to small adult mice pretty quick, and then that's a more developed prey item. So
Okay.
I kind of prefer that. But I don't know. I know Ed Marino, talking with him, I think he generally prefers to have them on rats. He feels they digest the rat pinks easier and kind of gets them going.
Yeah, I heard him say that sometimes.
Staying on rats. So, but
James, how you
Yeah.
What
So
do you,
we had to
go
the
ahead.
topic. We got to switch to
Okay,
the
go
next
ahead.
topic. All right. So the next topic is scams. So, what scams have you seen in the chondro trade / pet trade? Have you fallen victim to any of these animal scams? And how do you avoid scams? So the first person up, we're gonna go with Opdahl.
Scams.
Scams. We're gonna talk about scams.
Well, I don't think I've really been a victim of an actual scam, but there's definitely some unscrupulous sellers out there that, I saw something today on one of the Facebook forums where somebody was trying to peddle some pretty rough looking imports, and the thing looked fucked up, man. It was had blisters on its skin and stuff, and
Yeah, be out. Yeah, I saw it.
I
yeah,
saw
and
that.
then they took the post down like it was a problem. I was like, at first I think I said, I was like, is this real? Because I thought this was like a joke, in the comments, because it was just blatantly, the guy was like, oh, should I buy this? And I'm like, right, is this a fucking joke or what? So
but it's not obvious to everybody. Some
yeah, I
people say,
commented on it, and then they took the post down, and I'm like, why? What are you fucking worried about? But I see people posting other people's animals a lot, stealing photos, and Andy, our boy Andy Middleton, always points out and blows people, exposes them when he sees that shit, because he knows who produced all these animals, and he'll see those scammers posting stuff for sale, or I think Christian had even said that at one point he had scammers posting animals that he produced and sending him pictures of them, like, hey man, you want to buy these? Like he produced them.
Yeah, I've heard about that kind of shit happening.
Yeah, so it's that's the typical bullshit.
I had a scammer that reached out to me one time and was offering me a bunch of green trees. I was like, cool, send me videos. And he sent me a picture. It was a video of our homie Oso.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Oso was he was pulling this snake out, and I was like, Hold on. This motherfucker. This one of the guys I talk to on a daily basis.
Yeah. They're too stupid to realize that you're already in, contact with them.
I
Well,
think on King Snake and shit, there used to be scammers that would post shit from other countries and stuff, and try to get you to send them money. But I haven't seen that in a long time. I haven't been on there, but I'm sure that still happens.
does it still happen? I mean, probably, but most people aren't using King Snake. They probably
They
use.
doing
No,
with
but
it's the
maybe
logo.
on
It's the
other
logo people on
forums or
Instagram
things
now.
like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think
They
I'm
selling
sure it's
logos,
happening.
James.
All right,
I
Chris,
haven't
you're
been
up.
on there in years.
Yeah. So the scams, I haven't fallen victim to any yet. There was one time a few years ago on Instagram I almost did, because there was somebody that was, what they were doing, it looked like they were taking just about every single post from, Satu Reptiles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was like they were just ripping their posts and
It's
posting them
Ohio,
under
I
a
think.
different
Scales and
account.
Tails of Ohio.
Yeah. And they were just changing the wording a little bit, and they were changing the pricing. And what they were doing with the pricing was they were basically lowering it, just instead of making it dirt cheap to where anybody who knows their shit is going to go, obviously it's a fucking scam, you know what I mean? It's way too cheap. They were just lowering it enough to where it's like, you kind of thought about it, it's like, well, maybe this is legit. I don't know. And I thought about it at first because I'm like, well, it looks like a nice little baby emerald. But then I thought about it a little longer. It's like, no, this is bogus. And then I looked at the pictures more closely. I'm like, this looks familiar. And then that's when I put it together. I was like, they're just taking Satu's shit and reposting it. And I contacted Satu about it and let them know. But, and you report whenever I see this kind of shit, because we get I do an admin on the Emerald group on Facebook, and you get scammers trying to join the group constantly. So I just look at any account that's joining.
I
Like
didn't know you were admin in that group.
Mm-hmm. And so you some of them are really obvious. It's just like, yeah, you're participating in 758 different Facebook groups, and they're all over the world. And I mean, I'm not kidding. It's, you can see it's like 758 groups. You're
Holy
active in
shit.
758 groups. I don't think so. You know what I mean? So some of it's really obvious that they're bogus. Other ones, it's not as clear. And then there's just a lot of fake accounts, and I think people that probably operate under multiple accounts, and that kind of shit. So I feel like I've got a pretty good eye for spotting them nowadays online. And thankfully, I haven't been a victim of them at this point. I've had people steal my pictures and shit, but I don't post a lot of pictures. I do more videos, so I think they're just. I don't know if it's just laziness or whatever, but they don't seem to use videos as much as they do picture.
I did
We
see,
know what
I did see
happened
some
if
girl
they use one
post
of
a
your
pair
videos.
of the Australian horned toads, the horny devils.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can
yeah.
legally even have them outside of Australia. I don't know. Maybe they're in Europe, but it seemed like a scam. But I don't know. But I was like,
Yeah,
wow, those are sick as shit. Like, how did you get those? And if they're really for sale, they were
That's
trying
the
to
kind of
sell
shit
them.
you got to pay attention to. I think for anybody that's trying to be, do their diligence as far as avoiding scams, is look into details like that. So, because like I can't remember, I think it was in the group, the Emerald group. Somebody was trying to join, I think the other day, and it was like they're in Australia, but they're saying they got basins and all this shit. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. No, you don't. So you don't. You get the boot.
So,
But
Opdahl, I'm gonna get back to you because you were about to say something about another type of scam.
Oh, I was just talking about the one with with those horny devils from Australia that I don't know if it was somebody in Europe and they had some access, but I mean, things like that are very difficult. Like, you do have to seek out like legit paperwork and stuff because like even the earless monitors and shit like that, none of that shit fucking got here in any legal way as far as I know.
I wondered about that. I see more of that lately. People posting them, and I don't know enough about them to really know. But as far as I knew, that wasn't something that you just
no. They did not come out of Borneo legally. Like the one, even like there was a lot of bogus paperwork and stuff that, you know, once they get to Europe or whatever, then they're like, oh, here's paperwork and here we'll send them to you in the United States. And I don't know. I mean, they're here now, so I just don't know if that's how far back you can track that stuff, and when does somebody give up on trying to figure out if it was those were pretty much a CITES animal that has been distributed now, and people are having success producing them. So I mean, they're a sick species, man. They're cool
they're
as
really
hell.
Cool, yeah.
But I mean, the how they got here and by what means is questionable, you know. So I mean, if you're gonna roll the dice, you know, I mean, have at it. But I mean, be aware that people may be pissed off about that and maybe knocking on your door. You know, it's even like
watch out for them Australian honey devils. Watch out for them.
Yeah.
The crocodile Dundees
like I
with their
guess a
dicks
lot
out.
of the originally sourced animals, like, you know, if they're being bred in another country and then their offspring are coming here, I guess you can. That's what a lot of that is. But at the same time, like
sometimes
there's animals like, you know, Mangshans and stuff like that, you know, the sourced animals, if they got to Europe and if they are being produced, then I guess the offspring are legit for sale, but the original animals that were producing them weren't. So,
all right, so we gotta move on.
Is that like
to
is that like the what's the Chappelle show? The wrap it
the
up
wrap,
box?
the wrap
Is that
up,
what that
that's
is?
that's just what it is.
Okay.
That's
To
just
wrap
what
it up,
is.
Alon.
Wrap that shit up, B. Is that what that is?
So the next topic is climatization, climatizing animals. So while keeping multiple animals, what is your process for keeping proper climate year round? For instance, like winterizing. I know that you have to deal with winters up there in Ohio. How do you balance changing ambient temps while breeding? And how do you prepare for major weather events such as winter storms and heat waves?
I used to
And
get
we'll start out
it
with
in
Chris.
Ohio.
Starting off with me. Okay.
Yeah, we'll start out with Chris.
So being in Florida, I've got an advantage in that most of the year it's not really much of a problem as far as that goes. And even with the weather events, of course, if you got a hurricane and it blows your house down, that's a pretty big problem. But if the power goes out here in the middle of summer, the snakes are going to love it. It's just going to be hot and humid. They're going to be doing fine. Winter, of course, I have a small generator backup if I need to, but for the most part, don't really have to deal with that a lot, and it rarely gets cold enough for it to be an issue. I do.
Yeah, winters is what mid 60s or something.
A lot of time, yeah. I mean, a lot of nights it's low. A cold night will be the 40s, but it does get down into the 30s sometimes. Usually a few.
Where
nights.
are you in Florida?
I'm in Central Florida.
Where?
So what was it?
Where in Central Florida?
Oh, in Orlando.
Oh, Orlando. Okay.
Yeah. So I have basically I keep some emeralds. The last few years I've been doing quarantine in an outside building actually, and so that room is a little tricky to maintain warm enough during the coldest nights. So those occasionally it'll like the other, I think it was a week or two ago, it got down into the 30s, and it's tricky to keep it above the mid 50s when it's that cold in that room. But they do fine. I've not had any problems with them getting down into the low 50s. I've done chondros that low too as well, in the outdoor building before. But for the most part, low 70s, mid high 70s for most of the year. And then in the outdoor setups, or in the outdoor building rather, that gets as high as up into the mid 90s, the hottest part of the year, ambient. But there's a difference in how those animals handle that versus getting them 95 inside. You know what I mean? They react totally different to natural warm ambient temps versus an external heater. You know what I mean? So I was paranoid doing it at first. I was like, shit, I'm gonna cook them at that temperature. But you go out there, they're coiled tight, they're coiled comfortable, and really seem to be doing fine. Indoor, I don't keep them that hot, but outdoor I do. So that's I guess pretty much the main challenges I face there. As far as indoor, it's pretty easy. The heaters kick off at night year round. So during the winter, drops down usually just low 70s, 72, 73. Coldest nights, it might get 68, something like that for a few hours, but that's about it. And then the rest of the year, it's mid to high 70s. That's pretty much that.
Hey Chris, I know you was I remember you were experimenting with your you had one of your.
I got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
No, you
Oh, no, you up.
I got to wrap the shit up.
You had one of your emeralds. I think a few of your emeralds. Was it like a small group that you were keeping? Basically with no heat. It was just you were like letting them find the natural heat that was coming into the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you still keeping them like that?
Yeah, and that's how I want to eventually keep everything. Chondros as well. The chondros I keep a little different right now because I have to. They're in a different room, but eventually I want to just keep everything. I mean, outside would be nice, but outside's got challenges during the winter that are kind of a pain in the ass.
I was going to ask you,
there's some stuff going on with FWC as well, to where I'm a little unsure how smart that is long term. My original plan to do outside chondros and emeralds, I might have to change that up a little bit. So we'll see how that goes.
How do you those animals that you let them find a natural heat during the day? How do you supplement them during the winter months?
Actually, all I do is just have a little small space heater. So that space heater in that back room will keep it from getting below 70 at night, and then it'll keep it at least try to keep it around 80 or 81 during the day. But they actually stay pretty cool the whole time throughout winter, and so that there's plenty of weeks where they don't go above 80.
Have you saw any animals? Even though the days get shorter in the winter, have you saw your animals still kind of going to that natural sun spot that they have during the summer months?
They don't. What I've seen with it in that back room, so basically there's windows on the two main walls in that room, and I just let the natural sun come through, and it heats the room up, brings the ambient up. It's kind of like a slightly damped down version of what's going on outside. So if it's 90 degrees ambient outside, it's about 87, 88 in the room. It's just a little damped down. And then same thing with, it's usually just a little cooler. But so what I've seen with them for the most part, the only animals that actually choose to bask, with the emeralds anyways, that seek that I see them consistently seeking out that sunspot that comes and forms for a few hours during the day through the window, are the gravid females. Otherwise, they really don't seem to give a shit. And I think it's because they're warm enough from the ambient temps. They don't really need to go back and forth between cold and hot, because they get a natural slow ramp up from morning, then peaks for a few hours during the day, and then slowly goes down. And they just seem to chill, and they don't really seek it out. But the females, the gravid females, they're like clockwork every single day. As soon as the sun starts to come up, they're getting ready. They get into position. They wait for that sun. They sit there, and they'll cook for anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours, and then they move away from it.
What's your average ambient?
Let's get to Opdahl.
Yeah.
I just want to ask him what the average ambient that they reach at the peak is. What do you think that is?
The hottest, well, I let it fluctuate every single day, so it's kind of hard to give a total average, but they probably peak during the hottest months of the summer. I'd say about 94, 95. In that
is that
what
they're?
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're saying ambient. So the ambient in the room and thus in their cage peaks usually about 90, 91 at the hottest parts of the day, hottest parts of the year. Yeah. So, but that's only, it's brief. It's only for a couple of hours. It's not like they're at, that temperature.
So
for
they
all day.
don't, that's why you're saying they don't need to really seek out a basking area. That ambient just fires them up.
Yeah, they just seem to. It's like they warm up for
Mm.
a couple of hours and then they're done. I mean, I've watched the females do it so many times. They'll especially if they're gravid, they'll bask. You
Hmm.
know, I've got pictures and video of them doing that. The sun hitting them. They'll bask, and it's like to me, it's almost like a battery charging up. They charge up for a couple of hours. They shift out of the direct sun, and then they'll just sit there comfortably for the rest of the day.
Have you
Okay.
temp gunned their body temp to see
Hmm.
what their core temp is at the peak of that?
Yeah, and I think 96 was the hottest I've seen it.
Hmm.
And it freaked me
Yeah,
out at first. The first year that I did it, I'm like, shit, this is probably bad. You know what I
but I
mean?
mean, for a couple of hours,
That's the thing. They're not
that's what it
that's
takes, to cook those eggs, but like
hmm
to really grow those follicles and get them developing. Is as long as it's not like that, for
if
an
it,
extended period of time. I mean, that's why you have a like a radiant heat panel or a basking light where they can go to it for a couple of hours, reach that peak where they need to be,
and
and
then
then
move
come
away.
back down
Hmm.
to where they store that energy.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
when
All
it
right.
would probably be bad if they were cooking at 95 all day. You know what I mean?
Hey, Opdahl, let's get your take on the topic.
All right, so I mean, you're talking about just like weatherproofing, kind of like what do I do in the event?
Well, just in
Um,
general, how do you maintain climate and like changes and things like that?
um, well, I mean, I keep everything in the basement for a reason because it's easier to maintain a steady ambient in the winter and the summer.
Mhm.
It's always either like 10 degrees warmer or 10 degrees colder down here depending on the season. So that's why I kind of start cycling in the fall because I can now control it a lot easier. We have, oil heat in this house, so I have a adjustable, thermostat down here that I can program. So I keep the basic day temp at 74 for the ambient for the room, but I drop it to like 71 at night, and that's the ambient. But keeping it between like 74 and 76 allows the heat panels in each enclosure to not work as hard to achieve what I want to achieve, which is right around like 87 in the hot spot under the heat panel where the probe is. But I'll have a gradient within that enclosure between like 87, 88 to 81, 82 on the cool side. And then there's a night drop. But, in weather events, there's I have a generator that if I do lose power here, and we lose power here quite a bit, due to like we've had tornadoes and big fucking microbursts that just level the trees are a big problem here. So I've lost power like twice this year. Um, the last time
For how
one
long usually when you deal with that? Is that
Yeah, I can
hours or
lose power
days?
here any time of year, man. Like it could be like a fucking tornado, it could be winter storms, ice storms, it's like just everything. So I have a
That's days at a
generator
time
that
you're
I
without.
hook up. I hook it up to the house and I plug it in, I transfer everything over to the generator. I can run my water pump, the oil burner, all of my accessories for all the enclosures, but I mean, I always keep like roughly about 40 gallons of gas on hand for the generator. It's not a big one. If I fill it, it lasts for like 6 hours. So it's quite expensive, but the whole system does work. I don't lose anything in the house. And worst case scenario, if I run out of fuel, I've got two fireplaces and I've been splitting firewood for like 3 weeks now, just cords of wood. But I've never run out of fuel. It's one of the times though there were so many trees down that we had a bad fucking storm and I couldn't even get to the gas station for about 4 days.
Fuck.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's rough.
All right, so
Yeah,
let's move on to the next topic. We got a period of time after this where we can go back to things.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next topic. We got
Okay.
genetics up next. So we'll let Chris go first. So the question is, explain what have you seen over the years in terms of size in relation to parents, the relation to exceptional animals compared to sickly animals, and early signs that an animal will be healthy or problematic in the long term. And we'll let you go first, Chris.
Okay. So let's see. As far as size, I've had pretty consistent size with the chondros so far. They've all generally been in the like 10, 11 gram range, I would say on average. I haven't had any of those. I've heard some people having some pretty damn huge neos. I haven't dealt with that yet, but I don't have any really like enormous females either. I think my biggest female right now is probably, I haven't weighed her in forever, but I would guess about 900 grams, maybe 1,000 grams at the most. Um, Two Biak females that are probably about that size. But most of the babies I've seen have been about 10, 11 grams in that range. I think the smallest one I've had was maybe 8 grams. Um, so, size wise, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen enough to have much to offer as far as insight there. I haven't had a ton of chondro clutches yet either. So that's I'm sure in time I'd have more of an idea of how that's going between different pairings and everything. Um, as far as like health wise, I've had pretty much one or maybe two babies from every clutch so far that you can kind of tell right away. Like this one's probably not going to make it. It's just not perching right. Something you can't see is going on with it. Um, and those usually I've seen them. If I have one that's born that way, it's either going to pass the day it comes out of the egg, or it'll pass within a few weeks. And, you just come in and it's belly up and don't really have a particularly good reason. And usually, I think all the ones I've had like that never had their first shed. So even if they were due, if the other ones, did have their first shed. So I've had a few instances like that. Like everybody else, I've had babies that were full term, didn't emerge from the egg, or they emerged part way and then crash.
That
I've
was
had
a
a
good one,
couple
yo.
that
I
emerged and
appreciate the
then
dog.
yeah, I've had a few that emerged and then didn't survive more than a few hours. Um, and I don't have a great explanation for why. And yeah, so I've seen that kind of stuff as far as health. Now, as far as ones that to me you can kind of see like, oh, this one's gonna do really well. It's not necessarily if they eat the first time easily or not. At least if it's before first shed. I had tried that a few times before, like offering before first shed, and personally, in my experience, I don't see any major benefit to it. I didn't. I've had ones that took before the first shed and then were pains in the ass afterwards.
Mm.
I've had one that took before the first shed and then continued to eat afterwards. So it didn't really seem to make a huge difference to me. But generally, early on, if they are taking meals unscented, with excitement, and it's like a legit feed response, not just a kind of being defensive and you kind of trick them into eating, those are the ones that usually do well. You know, that's what I'm always hoping to see. Emerald's the same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, Opdahl, you up?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to babies, I guess roughly like Chris was saying, like most of my neos are between 10 to 12 grams, not anything like out of the ordinary, except I'd say maybe that the Aru babies that I produced were a significant amount bigger. Um,
Interesting.
maybe 14 grams, maybe more.
Isn't that common with Maruki as well?
It possibly
I think I've
because
heard that.
I did produce I had them hatch. I had a bunch of het albino Maruks that I got from Tim, and I was able to get the babies to hatch, but they died like very quickly out of the
Mm.
egg. They were like 25 or 50% het. Um, and those things they were bigger, like significantly bigger. And there's normally smaller clutches, like the Aru clutch was only like a 10 egg, 11 eggs. I think the het albino Maruks were probably about 10 eggs, bigger eggs as well. So, but as far as vigor of bloodlines, I guess was your original question, right? I found
Yeah,
that the
or sick.
the locality crosses that I've done that are the most hardy were the Aru Beox and the Highland Beox. Were the best, hardiest, biggest, most robust animals, just bulletproof, and awesome looking as well. Um, a lot of the designer stuff I like to breed to some of the localities, like Kino, you got those cyclops coming, man. I hold back those females. I'm telling you, raise those things up and get those females like on deck, because that's good. That's the stuff you want to breed to those blue line males. Like that's money. That's that's the good shit. You got the good shit coming. So good luck, bro.
Thank you, thank you.
They look
Man,
killer too, man.
it's been a
Like just
long
a
time
nice
coming on that.
clutch,
It's been a
nice
long
looking
time coming on that,
animals. The
James.
adults look beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
the other thing is like I found that when you just let those eggs go, like don't I would tell anybody, don't cut eggs open. Let them go the distance, and when they do start to pip, let them sit in the eggs for freaking 2-3 days, and don't bother them, because when they come out and they don't have an umbilical cord when that egg is completely empty, that snake's going to thrive. When it comes out and it's just weak and listless and like hanging on the egg, and yeah, they're done. Something happened. They came out too early, or if
Yeah.
you pipped them. I mean, sometimes mine go 55 days, and that's just what happens. It's to me it's not so many how many days. Like, don't freak out. It's if they were good eggs, they're gonna hatch.
Yeah.
You know,
And if they're good eggs, they're gonna thrive.
yeah, you got good
Yeah.
eggs. I've seen them.
Oh, I'm hoping. What's up? I heard to wrap this shit up, Bill. That's the wrap this shit up, Bill.
No,
Okay.
so we still got 2 minutes on the same topic.
Oh, we
Okay.
do.
Because I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about I know excuse me. Chris, you mentioned that you fed a couple of babies pre-shed. Have you done that, James? And what's your success with those animals compared to the ones that you wait post-shed that first time to feed?
There was only one animal that I fed pre-shed because it was so aggressively looking for food. I was like, I'm just gonna feed it, and I think Jay Chondro bought that snake from me, and that was a
What up, Jay, if you
Blue
watching?
Deuce Biak Highland animal, I believe. I think so. But I normally wait till they shed. They're just more active. They get that skin off and they feel better, and they're just like, ready to rock. So there's no
Yeah.
rush because they got a belly full of yolk. If they absorb that yolk, they're good. So it's almost better that they got the skin off, they're empty, and now they're looking for something to fill their bellies.
Yeah, I feel basically the same way. Like I said, I offered a few pre-shed. I think with the first, maybe the second clutch, but then I just don't bother now. I just wait till they shed, and it's probably best, honestly, to wait till they shed and shit.
Okay.
You got
It's just
a
all
little
easier
higher
too. They're all
chance.
on the same page that way,
Yep.
and it's like it's just easier for you.
Yeah, yeah. So
You
that's I
think so
think
once
just
they all shed?
learning to not rush, it. I think is definitely a good thing overall. I don't have anywhere near the level of anxiety that I did the first few times because you hear so much. Sometimes just a lot of bullshit. You hear a lot of
Yeah.
bullshit in your ear online, and so it gets you really in your head about it. You get really really
They
overly
can go a
anxious
while. Like once
yeah.
they have that belly full of yolk, they're good for a while. Like you don't have to freak out, and they all don't click immediately. It's great when they just all boom 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 eat first try,
Yeah, it's
but
convenient.
you know the last clutch I had was like 16 8 it was like 13 animals, like 12 out of 13 I got to feed the first try.
That's super nice when that happens.
And all those
So
you waited
sometimes
post
you
shed.
get lucky and other ones, but just on a quick note, there are clutches I've had that are fucked up where you'll get them to eat like one time and then they just will never fucking eat again. And I have no idea what that's about, but it's happened a couple of times.
I have some thoughts on that. We don't have to talk about it now. We can revisit it. But yeah, I'm really interested in that specific topic with baby chondros and emeralds, trying to understand that and trying to figure out what you can do about it when that happens.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
talk about that, Kino. That should be your next
Well,
question, maybe.
that'll be at the last 30 minutes. Yeah. So the next question is intake. So, what is your procedure for receiving animals, imports, or captive bred? How do you prepare for the animals before they come in? What are you setting them up in? And what does your quarantine process look like? And what are you monitoring for? We'll let you go first, Chris.
Especially
Um,
you, Chris, since you like to play with the wild card stuff.
yeah. So what I do now, I basically do 2-stage quarantine. So I do the initial stage, and I kind of do emeralds and condors a little bit different because I regard them as a little bit different in terms of the risk factor. Chondros, I'm not really too paranoid with them. Emeralds, I'm pretty paranoid because they're notorious for people's collections getting wiped out from shit. If you're not careful with it. So I started doing, I think it's probably coming up on 3 years ago. I started doing the outside quarantine. That's what got me started with keeping some of them outside. Was basically I had no space to keep anything, to do any quarantine, and there was a group of animals I wanted to get, and I had to pass on them because I'm like, well, if I can't, I have no room for quarantine, so I got to come up with some other solution. So I start them off outside. I always try to prep a tub, pre-treat it with prevenamite spray on the paper and on the tub. When the animal arrives, I try to just first thing I do is usually soak it for a few hours in just straight water, clean purified water. Then I'll add a little dish soap to that to help treat with a little bit of mites. Then I usually do reptile spray, mite spray, put that on the body, and then I just set them up real simple in a tub. Always ambient heat, no external heaters, no external lights. Simple couple of perches and a big water bowl, and I'm just trying to monitor for anything that anything that looks out of the ordinary, really. If they've got mites, I want to take care of that right away. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be as much of a problem as it was back in the day. At least not what I've dealt with lately. I remember, late '90s, it was like every fucking wildcat thing was covered in mites. It seemed like. So I do that, and then I keep them, with the emeralds, I try to feed them immediately. That's one thing I do a little different. I don't wait. I try to feed them straight away. So I feed them the same night they arrive. And a lot of times I get them to eat that same night, but sometimes it takes 1 or 2 tries. Chondro is the same thing. And I find if you set them up and they're comfortable, they'll usually take a frozen thawed meal for the first try. But I do it at night, and I try to not be detected by them at all, so they don't. It's kind of ridiculous, but I just use really long tongs and take like a ninja approach. Like I don't want them to even see me at all. And it's a little goofy, but the shit works, man. I get them. I've had emeralds that arrive here, fresh
You
import
open the
emeralds.
snake room door, rolling.
I'm not quite doing
floor.
somersaults in there, but yeah, I mean, I've had some of them eat their first meals 8-9 hours after they arrive, and then they're just rocking and rolling from that, instead of waiting weeks or months and trying to see what they do. Now I've had a couple that were a pain in the ass, but usually you can get them going. And then chondros, same thing, but just essentially less, a little bit less paranoia as far as I'm not really as worried about them spreading stuff. I'm not as concerned. And the chondros, I always test for nido within the first day or two of arrival, and then do several tests. Then second stage quarantine, they come into an inside room and spend another couple of months in there, anywhere from another 3 to 6 months, basically.
You testing the emeralds for crypto?
No, because you're not gonna. I don't test them, and I don't deparasitize them either, because
Okay.
that's something I learned from Warren Booth. I did the first couple ones I had. I pumped them with Panicure and Flagyl, just kind of preemptively. But I actually just let them. My approach now is basically get as much food into them and get their digestive system rocking and rolling as quick as possible, and clean them out of anything that way.
Okay.
And yeah,
The
that's
clean
basically
food source, you use that as your grunt, basically
yeah,
as
and
a
I try to get them.
dewormer.
I feed them way heavier than I would normally, the first couple of months, because I want them getting accustomed to the rats that we use in captivity, and help clean them out.
All
Also,
right.
get your
You
regurgitators out the way fast too.
Find out. I've been lucky. I've surprised that I have not had any of them do that, which is crazy.
you're up, Mr. Blottoed.
Blood. So a similar scenario, I guess I'd talk about import green trees first, basically, because I've gotten a lot of those in, and like basically what I do is these things are kind of through the ringer, man. Like I seriously wouldn't recommend that people buy imported snakes too much unless you have a lot of experience, because
IPA 7.3
it's not
alcohol by
easy
volume.
for an experienced keeper to
Best
even
beer
have
in the
good
world.
luck getting numbers of these things to make it, because they're not all going to make it.
Easy Euro.
If I guess the last lot of like animals I had in, I I was looking for Beox females. I got, I don't know, maybe a dozen in, and like I try to get normally, you know, either some not neos, but just starting to change to like a subadult size.
Mhm.
And what I start with when I first get them, excuse me, out of the box is I'll put them. I have a rack set aside that's like a baby rack for neo green trees with back heat, and I have lids on the Sterilite containers. I'll fill them up with, an inch or two of water, then I'll put the cover on and I'll put them in there overnight, and I just leave them. I want them to hydrate. I
Mhm.
want them to get, basically these animals. I don't know what the hell they've been through, but they've been through a lot. So
They're
get
almost
them
always in
hydrated.
need of
I want to
hydration.
see if there's
Yeah.
mites falling off of them. So I do that first for the first 24 hours. The next day, I'll pull them out. I'll try to put the prevenamite on paper towels back inside that tub dry, and then leave them in there for another 24 hours. And then I'll assess what I'm going to do with them. But if they look like they're okay, I can transfer them into another rack that I have that has Cambro tubs. That's a bigger for that, a little bit larger size. So the Cambro tubs, once they're in there, I want to start the meeting in the next couple of days. So I'll try to feed. Um, Once they're feeding and establishing, taking shits, if they're clean looking, I'm not going to give them any dewormers. I firmly believe that you're just pumping dewormers into these things. You're fucking up all that natural flora and fauna in their system that potentially they kind of need that to stabilize their system. So if I have animals that I'll
Okay.
see, like normally if they do have worms, they're going to shit them out at some point and you're going to see them. So if they do have like round worms or flat worms or whatever, then you can give them Panicure and Flagyl and go from there. But normally one or two treatments of that is going to resolve that problem. Um, and just you have to keep them quarantined. You have to test for nido multiple times for green trees. um, for some of the other species like the emeralds and scrubs, like um, RAL does pretty good bovoid panels where they're testing for Nido, crypto, or I think arena virus, sunshine virus, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That you can do a good panel for. I think it's like $75. The Nido panel is
There's
I
like
don't know what
25
Fish
each.
Head
There's like
does if they
25
do
each.
a full panel. I think they do, but
They might now. I'm not sure. That I think in the past
yeah, they were doing
just did
Nido, but I
Nido.
think they do a full panel now, if I'm not mistaken. So
those are still the two primary everybody's using, right? Is RAL
yeah,
and
Fish
Fish Head.
Head does a good job.
There's a third company that does it, but it's something labs. It's not RAL or Fish Head, but I've seen it pop up. But the primary two is RAL and Fish Head. I've only used RAL and Fish Head, but there is a third one. There is a third one.
James, you still got
James, sorry about that.
Where's the third one? Is it in the States or is it?
It's in the States, and I think it's somewhere on the West Coast.
Okay. So other than keeping quarantine for as long as people feel different, depending on the animal as well, and what your tests are going to say, but I still think the best defense for quarantine is to just do not cross-contaminate anything. And that's your daily quarantine, essentially. But then there's things that are, potentially airborne, like there's fucked up, like sunshine virus will fuck shit up.
Is that going on in the U.S.? I've only primarily heard about that. I mean, there's probably been some cases, but it seems like everything I hear about it is in Australia.
Well, I think it potentially could be more prevalent and more venomous. But there's crypto is like another one that is that can wipe out a collection. If you can't, and it's like Nido, like you're not gonna fucking fix it.
Yeah. I think that most of the stuff that we test for these animals, I don't think that there's any way of curing any of it. Like, I think all of it is just detection, and I think that's why quarantine is so important.
I think they were trying to come up with something for crypto. I think it was crypto anyhow, but it was I'm trying to recall. It was there was a podcast Andy and I were listening to, and they were trying. I think you have to treat it pre-digestive tract, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Actually, Andy probably knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. I just don't have the information. If he's listening, maybe he could text you or something.
Yeah, he posted a comment. Yeah, see, I hadn't heard a whole lot about that going on, so that's definitely.
Is that something that's more prevalent in pythons than boas?
I think that the thing that we were listening to about that was potentially in I don't know if it was colubrids or something, but crypto I think can get anything potentially.
Yeah, I know crypto. Yeah, I definitely know crypto can. Although I don't think I've heard it recently with any wild caught green sheep pythons having crypto coming in.
So I almost wonder when people talk about Nido and they're testing for Nido and they're not testing for other things, that maybe there's animals like it lives with Nido no problem and it's fine and it's thriving. Well, maybe that didn't come in with Nido and fucking crypto or some other bullshit that is just fucking wiping shit out. Like
you said our focus may be too much on Nido.
Well, it's not that they're focusing too much on Nido. They're just not checking to see what else could be involved in the animal that is potentially having issues. RIs and things like that. I mean, there's people that I had a pretty decent sized group of animals with Nido that I took in from other sources. And as soon as I started putting those animals together, animals that were asymptomatic, they're fucking toast. Like, just toast. And I wasn't even cycling them to breed them. I was just like, let's get them together and see if we can get activity, which I did without dropping temps.
Mhm.
But then those animals just they'd hit the wall.
It seems like potentially when you have, I know there's with Nido, it's hard to know what strain you're dealing with, and I'm sure that's the case with pretty much any virus.
They don't test for the strains. That's why they're grouped into 6 or 7 or 8 different panels, but the panels aren't divided. In order to get the results of divided panels, they'd have to do.
Yeah, it'd probably be so totally
Simple
impractical.
touch.
Yeah, it's like
But I guess
think
what I was
Kia had said they could do it, but it's a lot of money. So
yeah.
I don't know. That's like a whole other research thing there to separate the strains and see which is that volatile strain.
Well, what I would think on this too, I know, thinking about when I worked at the wholesaler back in the day and some of the stuff I would see, I always, still to this day, when you hear about wipeouts and stuff happening in collections, it seems likely that it's when you have a foreign strain, something from a different species, different part of the world, hits animals way harder with absolutely no natural immunity to that. Because I saw some crazy shit back in the day, even with boas. Like, I don't know if it was IBD, didn't really know what we were calling it back in the day, but I mean, I've seen an entire group of baby boas come in. You might have 1 or 2 of them doing the corkscrew thing, and then it's just like 2 days later, 10 of them are doing it. 3-4 days later, 20 of them are doing it. I mean, it's pretty
So
fast how some of that shit can travel through.
What up,
speaking
Pat?
of like IBD, though, I
Mhm.
had boas back in the day where I had purchased a couple of imported younger Surinames,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a lot of BCIs that were larger animals. So there was at one point I had made a large enclosure, and I had just basically done like a community enclosure for them.
Mm-hmm.
So the Surinames, which I had had separate for a very long time, for like 2 years, I no symptoms of IBD. I then introduced them to the larger group, and my adults started getting the symptoms of IBD, which then I swear to God, it looked to me that it retroed back to like the Surinames were like a carrier. It went to the to the adults and then came back, and then they everybody was fucked. And it just happened very quickly. But those Surinames had no indication of sickness until they got to the adults. And I'd had these adults for 20 years easily.
Damn.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it just, the whole group fucked.
once you've seen stuff like that, that's the thing. Like, I know, I it seems like every few videos that I post, if I post a video of myself where my hands with gloves on are visible, I get some either a direct message or a comment or whatever. And I know a lot of people are like anti-glove or they got some opinion on it or
I know
whatever.
one
But it's like,
person in particular.
once I see this, after seeing some of the shit working on a wholesaler like that, it's like, I'm not taking risks with this shit like that, man. It's
Yeah.
some of that shit, it can spread so fast, and it's, I no doubt some of it's airborne, but I mean, think about the primary, modes of transmission is going to be your hands.
Yeah,
Touching.
well, that's
I'll see videos of people
cross-contamination.
doing shit. I'll see
I don't
videos,
use
popular
gloves
guys.
normally because I do spray myself
Yeah,
with
yeah,
like
yeah.
95% alcohol
Mhm.
through every motion, but I do have to start wearing gloves now because it's fucking starting to fuck up my hands pretty bad.
Yeah.
I thought you
know what
had tough hands, James.
You know who the thing that was crazy back in the day, the person that got me on that kind of tip of trying to be paranoid that shit was when I visited Eugene's facility. So when I was a teenager, we went there, and I was paying attention to the kind of stuff he was doing, and I don't know for sure if it's just what it was. He had a tub set up, or he had a sink rather. He had like a two-sided sink filled with, I swear, I think it was Simple Green, but it was something like that.
Yeah,
and he would
antibacterial.
He was doing the
microbial.
shit. He would do like a doctor. He would dip
Yeah,
his
like an
entire
arm dip.
forearm in that, and then scrub and then rinse in between every snake he was messing with.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this huge facility full of snakes, and I took that shit seriously. I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. He wouldn't be doing that just because it's some stupid shit to do. He's doing it.
You have to have protocols, and I mean, I'm either washing my hands between each procedure, or I'm at the very minimum. If I'm even opening and closing enclosures, I'm just spraying my hands with alcohol, 95% isopropyl. But like, it's gotten to the point where I need to start wearing gloves because I've been doing it like that for years now, and it's just fucking me up.
James, why do you
pickling my ass?
This kind of shit you do for these animals is so.
Well, hold on. Why are you putting 95% alcohol on your bare skin?
Wait, what?
Why are you putting it on your bare skin?
Dude, I
why don't you use hand sanitizer, man?
Right.
Hand sanitizer?
It's got aloe gel in it, man. It's gonna help your hands.
Dude, I'm gonna go straight alcohol on that shit.
But you talking about your hands is messed up.
I'm gonna have to start wearing gloves because it's like 95% alcohol, bro. I can't be putting that aloe shit on my hands.
You got the 90s janitor hands.
Yeah.
I'm not greasing my palms up like that.
Man, you need some lotion, James. And that's not me joking on you, bro. You need some lotion, man.
Take care of the hands, man.
Don't you want to touch your lady all soft and shit?
Dude, I work so hard. I got fucking no calluses, bro. That shit comes off every day.
All right, so let's get to the last topic before we go on the open talk.
Alcohol straight on my hands.
Turpentine. All right, so tools of the trade. What do you look for when picking equipment that you're using? What have you found that works and what doesn't work? And do you have any must-have equipment that you have used over the years that you would claim is tried and true? That could be cages, hooks, thermostats, pros, whatever. We'll let you go first, Opdahl.
Oh, geez. Well, Herpstat 4s. I like Herpstats. Spider Robotics. I think they're probably the best thermostats out there. Christian would say bring back the Herpstat Pros because the system, the basic system is a little different. He said, I think his basic thing is that he's saying it's not truly proportional. It's like it's not as proportional as it was the original Herpstat Pros. So they do work a little different, and I think he says that the Herpstat 4s run a little hotter. They're pushing a little harder, which could be detrimental when you have females that are trying to gestate and grow follicles under these panels. If your surface temp, and that's the reason for keeping your ambience a little higher, is that they're not pushing as hard to achieve those temps that you want with a higher ambient. So that's like kind of critical for the females in particular that you're trying to breed, because if they're parked under a pro heat panel, which is the other thing that I don't like the other heat panels. I think the pro panels are probably the best ones out there right now and have been. But if your surface temp is like 120 degrees at full power, you're going to cook your snake, essentially, that's trying to gestate. It's too hot. So I temp gun the surface temp of my panels, and if they're like 95, 100 degrees, you're good. If it's like 120, like it's just pushing too hard. And if your female's parked under it, temp gun her from above and see what she's at, and then temp gun her below and see where she's at.
Yeah.
Right now, my girl's like at around 90 on the top, but her core temp underneath her coils away from it is like 85. So if you look at a female, they're moving those coils periodically around and kind of like putting up where she wants them to be over the 24-hour period. They do that. And so I mean, he said, Christian was saying to get back to the Herpstat pros, where it's more of a true proportional. He was saying something in the programming he didn't like, but I think if you tune them right and have your ambient correct, that you're gonna have good results. Hopefully, we'll see what this year does. But as far as caging, I build all my own caging. They're pretty much tried and true. I've been building my own caging for the last 30 plus years. So that's like the way I go with that. I have the wood enclosures, but I do the PVC stuff as well. And, I have results with them. So I use my own. So, I mean, that's it. Thermostats, panels, caging, lighting. I was using just like UV fluorescence, but I started using the Arcadia lighting,
the shade dwellers,
and
yeah, I use those.
I have seen some good results with the UVB with some of, with the scrubs. I had good results. I have it in some of the green tree enclosures, not like a ton of UVB lighting, but they do reduce over time the amounts. And I like lighting in my cages because I can see the animals at a glance, visually see what's going on. People say, "Oh, I didn't realize they're in shed, or it's got a stuck shed." Like when you have lighting in there, you can see the shed. I don't see that it's a problem having lighting in enclosures for these things.
Well, I think you got to push them with the Arcadias, with those shade dwellers. You got to push them to the front, like wherever the snake is. You got to. If the snake's usually sitting in the back, you got to push those lights to the front because they can't burn
the panels in the back further. The lights are all the way up front, so they're getting not like 100% blast with it. They're just getting like secondary. But I found that like the scrubs and stuff, dude, they like it, man. They like go for it. So did the Bolins. Like they were up there basking on that shit.
You saw more daytime activity with the shade dwellers?
I mean, I haven't seen increased activity, but I don't see them like straying from it at all.
Okay.
All right, Chris.
So, see, for caging, I'm a tub warrior all the way. I love tubs. I think it comes from working. Working at a wholesaler, and you have to deal with hundreds, thousands at a time animals. You just
sound
get
like
in the mindset. Anything is not efficient. Anything is not efficient. Like I don't give a shit what it looks like. I want it to be efficient. I'll choose that over anything else. My favorite cages by far are these old school acrylics that have the pull-out drawer. I like the way they look. The drawer is an enormous convenience for dealing with adult arboreals. Particularly if they're not the nicest.
So you're talking about the enclosures like Tony Nikolai has for hits.
Yeah.
That they're fully
and Ed has
clear
them.
acrylic, and they have the pull-out underneath.
Yeah. I found a group of those. A dude that used to keep emeralds and stuff back in the day. I saw a local Craigslist ad for them, and I'm like, holy shit, that's the old style cages. So I got in contact with him, and I bought 4 of them. And I wish he had 1 or 2 more, but I couldn't talk him out of them. He was still keeping a chondro in them. and I think he had 2 more, and I was like, please, like I want I want them all, but he wanted to keep them, and then I managed to find one more I got from Mike Viola. I bought one off of him. I love those cages. I just wish they were bigger, so I need to get. What I want to eventually do is do basically same exact kind of state cage, custom built from somebody, and probably do 4x2x2 or something along the lines of that. Because that's the only downside to them is they're old school cube size. So I would prefer them to be bigger. But the animals do so well on them that it's like I take them out and try to give them some exercise through some occasional handling. And I was taking stuff outside more back in the day. I can't really do that as much now, but with neighbors. But so that's what I like caging wise. And then I like the adult Cambro tubs too. I like those. They're not as I don't like them as much as the acrylics, but I still like them a lot. Again, I just wish they made like a double size basically, so I had some bigger ones available.
Those acrylic cages probably aren't that difficult to build.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If you can, I don't know if it's just a chemical weld on those. I think so because the material's not that thick, and I think that is probably just a chemical weld.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
And I don't know.
I might give it a go. I'm not a. We'll see. Maybe I could work with that, but I don't have confidence in my building skills to make anything that doesn't look.
Yeah,
like
but
shit.
Maybe you can find somebody local because I don't know who built them for Tony Nicolai, but I know that Paul August was doing some fabrication back in the day. I don't know if he still does, but I think he was working for. I thought it was a sign company. I could be mistaken, but
go ahead and take that job, James.
Yeah. That's I just bought a bunch of polycarbonate today for Andy for his doors for his enclosures that we're building for him.
Nice.
So those are all PVC, but they're gonna have polycarbonate doors that open, double opening doors on pins, and no pull out drawers though.
I'm I've gotten to where I don't want any cages that don't have it at this point.
It is cool because you can completely just bleach out or disinfect that whole bottom area where they're shitting in like an instant without fucking with the rest of the enclosure.
It's a big it's so convenient. But and then as far as any other equipment, I'm pretty bad. I really don't have a lot of shit that I use. I actually, thinking about it, I just realized I actually don't even have an adult snake hook anymore. I don't know where the one I had is. I need to get a decent adult snake hook. So I never use them. I don't like using them. So I always just do shit with my hands.
Just borrow Opdahl's hands. You'll be all right.
Well, I need to have it for when I have friends watch my
Opdahl got the leather hands.
But a big adult female emerald will it's.
Not
I
his
get
hands.
ballsy with them, but I'm probably a little stupid with them sometimes, to be honest.
This man's hands are so strong that moisture can't penetrate them. He'd be all right, man.
I'm pickled, bro.
All right, so we got about 15 minutes left. So we get to any topics or any subjects that y'all want to touch on again.
They're the babies.
What's So, Kino, what clutch of eggs you got cooking? I heard you say before the show that you got like a week left, maybe?
No, that's my eggs.
Sorry.
Man just got in there.
Travis has a week left. You're only in like a week.
Yeah, I'm like a week in.
What has Travis got? What pairing was that?
I did the repeat for my Sarong Biox.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I did a repeat pairing.
Were those yellows or were those reds?
Mostly they were reds, but the yellows looked the best in my opinion. Except for one red that Mikey Marsh has. So that's the reason for redoing it. And they were all really big animals. All those babies were big, so I wanted more big babies.
That's cool.
Yeah, the animal linen blade on my page. It's from him.
How you've only got like a week left for them to hatch?
Now I got 10 days? So a little over a week.
10 days.
Yeah. It's a little over a week.
And Kino, your snakes were that clutch was laid on the 26th.
Yep, Friday.
So you're 11 days in, you said?
Yeah, 11 days.
Well, you got like, let that thing go another week, and you're past that point where they, most of them shit the bed. So
I still got my eyes on one of them, but
you think one might crash?
yeah, yeah, it looked weird when I first put in there.
Did it have
But
like little windows, or it just wasn't calcified all the way?
nah, all of them. None of the animals, none of the eggs had low calcification. It was she had so how it was she laid this the 16, the 17th one came out late, and then she had two slugs, and she had a retained slug.
Mm-hmm.
So the retained slug, it came out, it passed maybe like 5 minutes after I soaked her. But that was my first time having a female with a stuck egg, so I was kind of nervous and shit. So but she passed that. She passed that cool. But the one that just came out before that the retained one, that was the one that was looking a little questionable. It was like halfway, had that brownish look to it, sluggish. But then I was going to throw it away, and then I counted
That
it.
one was in a little longer.
No, it wasn't any longer. What I'm thinking is, I think that was the last one that came out.
Oh, the last one
before she had the retained one.
How?
Because it looked a little weird. That's why I said that.
Mm-hmm.
It had that brownish look to it, to the point I was going to throw it away,
good.
honestly. And then something told me to,
It may
put the
not
light on it.
have. It may not have been like hardened up all the way. Like sometimes, like people jump the gun, man. They fucking stick these things in the incubator. They're not even fucking dry yet. Like
Yeah,
you need those things to turn like white
yeah,
and dry. And I think that's what happens. People jump the gun and they put
yeah,
these things in the incubator, and then they're still wet, and they're like, what happened? They're all fucking crashing. And like you need to make
correct.
sure like she's been on them for maybe an hour or so after she's done.
Yep, and
And
that's what I
and
did.
and sometimes when you first put them in, like leave the fucking lid just cracked a little bit and let
kind of
the air
transition it.
harden them off a little bit before you close them up.
Well, the reason why I said that because I usually don't. I usually wait until I see her be having them before I even touch it.
Yeah, she's
And
done
then
like at that
yeah,
point for
and
sure.
then so all the other ones were kind of stuck together. You know how you got to pull them apart. The natural way. But this one, it wasn't stuck to the other ones. So I'm like, okay, I know because I gave her my shit. I saw her laying. She had to be like halfway through, maybe at like 4 o'clock in the morning when I woke up. And I didn't take the eggs from her probably till like 10:30.
Did you candle it?
Yeah, I candled it. That's the reason why I put it in the incubator because I
So
candled
it's
it and
got veining. I
it
mean,
was big ass veins and I had a huge embryos and that
oh,
shocked me because
nice.
I was about to toss I was about to toss it because it looked so
Oh
brown,
shit.
but now I look at it and it's kind of like colored up to white. So I
That's
don't know,
good.
man. Maybe it's
Let
maybe
it
it was
ride,
just
man. Yeah, let it
yeah,
ride.
Chris, have you seen the adults that produce that clutch? They're killer.
His adult cyclops.
Yeah,
Yeah, those
they're
are
nice
insane.
looking animals.
That's the cyclops. At some point, I definitely got to get into those because those are sick as hell.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the localities that you can produce blues with that. The cyclops and maniquaries in particular, Artifacts, like those are good animals to have.
look at you, look at that. I got one of my animals got the cyclops and the artifact mixed in one.
Yeah, they're badass, man.
So can y'all talk about specifically you, Opdahl, because you mentioned this. You mentioned the training of the babies, and me and Travis, we've been kind of getting hung up on, but because we be talking about to one of our guys specifically how how he just had his clutch and he should get in there every 4 to 5 days to train them,
Hmm.
get them used to that food reception. So can you expand on that? What you mean, as opposed to just feeding a baby once a week?
Well, you it's like muscle memory with these things. Like if you feed the snake, man, and then you just fucking leave it alone for 2 weeks and then pull it open and expect it to eat again, it's like you're starting all over. Like you want that snake to you open that drawer and it's like that. It's like what's that?
Yeah,
And once you get that kind of response from it, like it's going to eat every time.
Hmm.
So you need to get there quickly so it's not like what's going on. Like I have to probably start making a couple of videos on how I start to feed, but I normally have really good results getting them to eat. Like you don't have to like bounce the food around in there for them. Like literally as simple as even applied pressure to the tip of its mouth with a pink without even fucking with the thing, and then turning it to the side of the mouth and just fucking shaking it a little, it will open its mouth and you just pop it right in.
Hmm.
Like, and once you get like that response, like you were saying, Chris, like with those wild caught emeralds, like fucking walk away.
Hmm.
The people are like, oh, it keeps dropping, it keeps dropping it. Are you sitting there and like fucking because they're seeing everything, like they see that
yeah,
shit.
Hmm.
So like as
Some of
soon
them
as
are
like I have a
really
new
in
baby
tune to it
grab
too. They're
something,
freaked
I
out.
walk away, I sit down, I don't come back for 5 minutes. Once it's eating it, you're good. But until then, like it'll drop it, it'll get distracted. So like if you feed it, have success, come back 5 days later, feed it again, do the same thing. On the third try, it's going to be waiting for that drawer to open. If you aren't feeding them like on that some sort of a regimented schedule, there it's muscle memory for them. They know what's going to happen, they know what to expect. If you don't do that on a something, a basic step, and their body needs to get into that system, like you were saying, Chris, of like taking in food, shitting, taking in food, shitting, shedding. Like now I'm ready to get something bigger. Like
yeah,
you want to get them to that stage where they can have like a fuzzy because you know maybe there is something to it. We're feeding them these little fucking milk bags of goo with no substance, that once they get to that stage of having at
yeah. I agree
least
with that.
fuzz on them, it's easier to digest or something, because you will have random animals that would possibly prolapse as babies, and it happens, but I honestly don't know why. Just don't have any clue.
I
You think
wonder,
it's
like,
just a lot of them staying on pinks just too long?
It could be, if it could be that they're on pinks too long because they're not being fed a, a regular schedule to get them to the point of fuzzies quick enough. I mean, it could be
Hmm.
that they're not eating that shit in the wild. They're eating lizards.
and
You
almost one of
know?
the things to add to that, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I had an interesting conversation just through chat with Kenny, and I know him and Vin Russo, I think, share the same opinion on this. Is that
Yeah.
it seems like there needs to be a point where the digestive system really kicks in. It needs to be jump started, and I think the ideal situation is the baby. If it's born from an egg, it hatches, it sits there, like you said, James. It sits in long enough, absorbs all the yolk. It has like the proper head start in life. Basically, its digestive
Hmm.
system is ready to go, and then they seem to be far more easy. Even to take unnatural prey items like a pinky, they're just way more willing to accept that. It seems like they're ready to go. But if you get ones that aren't, like what I've seen, for any that I've had to assist feed, it seems like once you assist feed them, the more frequently, like you're saying, if you're assist feeding them a little more often, and I haven't done tails yet. I've used rat pink heads, mouse heads for the emeralds, and then pinky heads for the baby chondros. But it's like if I'm giving them one of those every 2 or 3 days, I'm kind of pushing their digestive system to get moving. It's like almost like you're trying to jumpstart the thing to start actually doing.
Yeah, so eventually they'll be empty. When they're empty again, you'll finally get that response where like, I'm empty, where's my food?
Yeah. And that's what you want, and you want that kind of response, like you said, where you open the enclosure, the tub, whatever it is that they're in, and they're looking at you like you got they're ready to go. They're not having to be coaxed into eating.
He said, look at him like you got what I need.
Yeah, they're like, you got the shit, you know what I mean? They're like, you got what I want. So they're not. It's not like how some of them where you're starting them, and it's like you're really kind of having to harass the hell out of them until they finally eat, and you got to train them to that. You want them to get to that point where they're just eating right away. They're doing.
If they won't take it from me though, for the first after the third, fourth time, I'm putting something in their fucking mouth, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck this. You're getting something, because they will fall behind.
Some of the snakes, right, James?
Sometimes everybody's getting fed something.
But yeah, I'm interested to start
cold,
trying
hard, white fingers.
I might.
Alcohol.
I haven't really decided if I'm gonna definitely try it or not. But I might give an feeder lizards a try this year. I'm thinking.
Well, Kenny and Vin got a colony of geckos and shit.
Yeah.
Now.
It's smart.
I've used the feeder lizards.
Done it too. You've done that, right, Travis? Was it a Knowles?
Yeah, I did it with. I got a nose and I got geckos, but I would say this: with the feeder lizards, in my honest opinion, after one or two, after two tries and it doesn't take a feeder lizard, I don't think it's worth trying with a feeder lizard. But if it takes one feeder lizard, then I think you can transition it from a feeder lizard to a pinky with scenting quickly. I think it can. But if it doesn't want to take the lizard at all, that motherfucker, you're just gonna have problems just getting it to go. And I had three that were like that. And
I'm
they
sure
didn't want to take the feeder
out
lizards.
there that want to transition to a lizard at some point.
Here you go. Here you go. Hey man, people try to get paid at that love station.
Where you at, Tuck? Where you at, Tuck?
Hey Travis, I have a business opportunity for you.
I have no business opportunities for you to work and shake your ass at the truck stop.
No, but
hey, I was talking to somebody a while ago.
But you do got openings down there on the Blizzard.
Nah, I was talking to somebody a while ago, and we were joking that he had never heard of this, and I guess it's just real common down south. But truck stop strip clubs. And he was like, I never heard this.
What do you call them? The lot lizards?
No, they got lot lizards at every truck stop. That's every truck stop thing. It's a truck stop near you with lot lizards, and Tuck might be over there.
So, how do you know about these truck stop strip clubs?
What's crazy is that we are at 2 minutes. And we got to get out of here, so we want to give y'all.
If they want to stay, if they want to.
Travis is trying so hard to keep her from derailing. He's trying to
stay some extra time.
Trying to keep it on the rails.
If y'all would like to stay an extra 10, 15 minutes, you know what I'm saying?
Damn,
we can do that.
You mean you're gonna go fucking full Palestine, Ohio, and you got 2 minutes left?
I don't know what that means, but I'm pretty sure it's some good pimping out in Ohio. But I don't know nothing about that.
That was the worst fucking natural fucking disaster in the last 50 years.
Oh yeah, with the chemicals and shit. Now everybody in Ohio is diseased. And
they're like, that shit just derailed. Let's light it on fire.
Well, I mean, who really likes Ohio anyway?
J-Dog does. Fucking Jay Chondro.
I don't even know who that is.
Dre up in Ohio, man.
We're going to save Dre, though. We're going to get Dre out, though.
You started talking up in Ohio.
I always think you in Ohio. Listen, you're going to tell me you in Connecticut.
I'm like, I thought you were in Florida.
No. That you in Connecticut, and I'm going to keep on believing you in Ohio. That's
a good pivot, Travis. Good pivot. I'll tell you that.
Anyway,
y'all. Good footwork. You got good footwork for a big man.
Hey man, with the best of them, man.
Hey, before we get up out of here, I want to ask.
I do my ladder drills.
What's Keno saying?
Never trust a black man to drive a pickup truck.
That drives a pickup truck?
Yeah,
Why?
that's a life rule. That's just you
Really?
can't trust them. Yeah, you can't trust them. You just
You can't trust
especially
me?
if it's lifted. Well, look, you got grandfathered in. You know, you was one of the special ones, but you know we.
So first of all, just listen to this shit. First of all, I'm some sort of a pimp according to Keno, and then I'm some
A
sort of
pimp.
black redneck
I never
redneck
called you
that
a
drives
current.
a
I
lifted
never
truck.
called you a current pimp.
So what do you think? I just transitioned into a redneck?
So the life
Damn.
cycle was look.
That's
This
quite
what happened. This what
that's
happened.
quite a surgeon, bro.
Nah, this what happened. He grew up in
If
Memphis.
you can transition into a redneck and pull that off, that's quite the surgeon, man. That's
I
Hollywood
mean,
shit.
he drive a pickup truck and he live in Texas, and he does the Macarena a lot, and he got those,
The
Macarena.
fuck is
says
he
that?
doing the
Who-
Macarena?
and he got
What the
those,
hell is
and
this?
he got
What the
those.
fuck are you talking about?
He got them rodeo shirts. Do you know the rodeo shirts? That
Bro,
don't
you
worry
think
about it,
it's
James.
1996?
Travis,
James,
you go
Everybody's doing
line
the
dancing
Macarena?
on the weekends,
James, don't
bro?
worry about it. I'm
Nah,
gonna
I don't like
tag you in the
country music.
video. I'm gonna tag you in the video, James. His name Chocolate Uno. His name,
You talking about the dude that was dancing in the circle of Modelo?
yeah, the
Holy
Modelo segment.
shit.
Shut your ass up, man.
You guys are out of control.
Hey, before we get up out of here, I want to talk to you about that female that you mentioned that had the bad litter. Is that your first bad litter of emeralds that you had?
Yeah, well, yeah, she had, as far as just a full bad litter, yeah, she
Yeah.
had a it was I can't remember how many slugs it was. Wasn't a very big litter either. I think it was I think she had 5 or 6, maybe
shit.
7 or 8 at the most slugs, and then there were 2 fully formed but obviously premature babies. They were super weak. They came out looking
Was that one
the
of the females
color
that you
wasn't what it should be. They were underdeveloped.
Yeah,
And
it was
I
dark
had
yolks.
bred
I remember.
her. Yeah, she had a litter in 2021, and then she had the one last year, and it was this. It was a repeat pairing. So there's the
Okay.
question of like is it an issue with the male, fertility with the male? But I don't know if
What
it
was the
was that
first? What happened the
simple.
first time?
First time was the first litter I had from any emerald, and she had 6 fully formed babies. One of them was DOA, but fully formed, and then she had like 8 slugs. So it wasn't a very good litter.
Yeah.
In general. But that's pretty common. You see that a lot with emeralds, where you get a pretty high slug count and
Why is that though? Do you think like it's just timing with the
Or is
male,
that a first
or
time mother thing, or what is it?
I'm still trying to figure that out. So it's as far as it being the male, I don't think it's as simple as just oh, that male's not fertile, because that same exact male bred with the anaconda phase female in 2022 and produced a litter of 9 healthy babies and just 2 slugs. And those were like ass kicker babies. Like not a single one of them needed to be assist
so?
fed. So it's the differences as far as what I've got going here that I'm trying to figure out what could be to blame. It could purely just be that particular pair is not compatible. That could be an issue. It is. I mean, I wouldn't think this would really be a big enough difference to make an issue. But one
I
animal
don't.
came in on a Suriname shipment, another one came in a Guyana shipment. I don't think that's really a huge problem.
I
But
don't think
you
that
never
would
know.
be it. I think nature in general wants to reproduce. Like that's like any given opportunity to reproduce is going to be taken. But I almost feel like, and this is from working with the green trees primarily, but I think across, you know, all species that potentially if you hit the mark slightly wrong in the follicle development,
Mm-hmm.
like I was thinking about this when Andy and I were using the ultrasound, and you're measuring follicles, and say you're at like 6 or 7 millimeters or 7 or 8, and you're like in an ideal range where you could potentially be like, all right, let's put the male in. She's got 6 to 8 millimeters. So you're popping him in there and he's breeding her. Now, here's the question. Was that 6 to 8 millimeters when she was developing up, or was that 6 to 8 millimeters when she's starting to reabsorb?
On the
So
downside.
those follicles potentially are really good and fucking growing, or they're really bad and fucking deteriorating and being reabsorbed. And that's how you get slugs or unfertilized eggs.
And also, where's the
I
male in
don't know
relation
any of
to
this for sure, man. This is just like a theory that I've thought about.
Yeah. No,
and where's the male in relation to his shed cycle too?
Well, yeah, I mean,
That could have be playing too.
It's like sometimes you'll see a male chasing a female around the enclosure that's like, get the fuck away from me, and not quite ready. So eventually it'll happen. But then you talk about, people that pair animals and they have retained sperm and shit like that, and 6 months later it's having babies. It's like, how does that all work? Like, we need to get like Scott Stahl or somebody that is like a vet, like a herpetological vet that has a lot of experience in this type of field and can answer these questions. I don't have that experience.
I don't either,
Like,
and it's tricky because you see. I think one thing though about the compatibility issue, I think there's still something there. I don't know exactly what it is because I know, with one thing I've heard in the past, you'll hear, and I've seen this so far just primarily with condors. I've been lucky in that my emerald pairings, I've got two males that are just like, they seem to be to breed, damn near instantly when you put them in with a female that's ready or starting to cycle. But I've had, in this year in particular, like the pairings I'm trying, I've had, you'll have a male that it's hard to gauge. Is he just uninterested in breeding with any females, or is he getting rejected by that female? Because I've had for sure, my in 2 or 3 different occasions at least, where I'll put a male in with a female. That's kind of like my first choice pairing, say for that season or something. That's what I'd like to breed. I put them together. Male doesn't do shit. Leave them for a while, not doing anything. Then maybe I'll separate them. I'll try again. Still nothing. Then 2 or 3 days later, I put a different male in. Boom, female's ready to go. They breed right away. So it's like, was the female ready? She just is rejecting him. Whatever messages they're sending each other, she's just basically saying, get the fuck out of here.
I think
or
it's
is the male not motivated? It's hard to figure that out.
I've had some males.
Say that the first male
was
a square.
2012 that's like just
square.
Not a good breeder. And then
He's a square. It's a trick. It's a John.
What's up?
He's a rest haven. He's a rest haven for hoes.
That's what Travis would have called the first one.
Boats and hoes.
All right, so we don't win over. Y'all want to give any shouts? Hey, before we get out of here, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor, Chris, our wonderful sponsor.
For rocking with us, man, and putting up with our bullshit.
We thank him so much. He's a wonderful dude. But yeah, do you guys got any shout outs y'all want to give?
Say what's up to Andy.
And Tim came to show up. Tim showed up for you too.
Yeah, so fucking Timmy Morris, Fun Time Andy, fucking Tommy Exotic. What's up, you
Tommy Boway?
That's how Tommy answers the phone. He's like, "What's up, bitch?"
I have a feeling anybody who fucks with me on Instagram or anything like that that supports what I do and listens to me and tolerates some of my jokes and bullshit that I've been posting lately.
We love it.
I'll be down with that shit.
We love it.
Probably pisses some people off today, but I'm just joking around.
I'll be rolling.
Hey, Chris, don't get mad at me, but I got to tell you this before you leave. I always forget what your last name is.
Oh, that's fine. It's Rice.
It's Rice.
Okay. I always forget.
Just Google Undertaker, whatever Undertaker last name is.
I'm just gonna start
Hey,
coming
man,
in here
you
and
gonna
playing
stop-
the fucking Undertaker theme when it's time to
Exactly.
The Undertaker.
You gonna stop disrespecting my homie?
What you mean? He got the Undertaker hair, man. That's like 91 Undertaker too with the purple gloves.
Dude, you need like red light next time you come on, Chris. So
I need a pallbearer too. I gotta get somebody to play the
you need
pallbearer.
the dark mascara.
Walk out with me.
under your
Who can we
eyes,
get
like
to
Undertaker.
be Paul Bearer for him?
Yeah,
Opdahl.
who's a
Opdahl can be Paul Bearer.
You know what? Yeah, it could work actually. Because you got the dark lighting right now too, so you could have if
You just rise up. You just rise up. You just rise up.
You just put on the extra white makeup
Fluff
to
all
match
that
your
shit
hands.
You had
And
me
you
as
just push him out in the
Macho Man
casket.
Camacho or some shit. Fucking versus the Undertaker.
Yeah, I got to
Listen,
be
I'll
the
come
greasy
out.
honky.
I'll come out as Macho Man Savage. I don't care. I'll come out as the Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior.
I be
Man,
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Yeah. I come
Who
out
else
with
could I
the
be?
American jaws on, screaming "Ho!" with a
We
big
gonna
ass
get
piece of wood.
Salamander to come in as Gold Dust.
Gold Dust.
Come on, man. We got
Yo, who's
come
Andy
on.
gonna be?
That was disrespectful to Salad.
He's gonna be Ric Flair.
No, Andy's
like,
gonna
woo!
be. Nah, he's not gonna be Ric Flair. Nah, hell no. Andy gonna be Kurt Angle. He could be Kurt Angle or Chris Benoit.
Andy
Yeah.
could be
We need
Gavin
a-
Newsom as a
Ric-
wrestler.
For Ric Flair, we need a candidate. We need a candidate do a lot of that look like they do a lot of coke.
Andy the politician.
No, we got to get Ken Deal to be Ric Flair.
That could be.
Oh man,
I think he too smooth to be Ric Flair, dog.
too smooth.
Ken Deal don't look like a yeller, but he gonna be screaming to my woo and doing all that shit. No, Ken Deal is like
He's gonna give out. He gonna give out a smooth woo. He gonna be like, woo.
yeah, smooth.
You gotta
woo.
get
like,
fucking Tommy.
you know I do that woo woo.
Shit. Who else we got? We can get Tuck to be
Chris
You got
Benoit.
Tim Morris.
Test. He could be Test.
Tim Morris could be Ric Flair.
Tim Morris. We get Tim Morris to be Mankind. He could be Mankind. We put the mask on him and an old ass shirt. He could be Mankind.
You sit in the boiler room, sit in the dark
No,
ass
we could
boiler
not.
room with pictures of Mr. Blue in his hand.
Yeah.
Oh my
With
god.
Mr. Sacco.
You're going like fucking back.
Hey man, I used to watch wrestling.
That was the
As we
Attitude
called
Era.
it in Memphis, wrestling.
Mankind. That's some funny shit. Mankind also had he was an alter ego, right? He was another one too.
Yeah, he was the hippie.
Undertaker.
He was a hippie.
Yeah, but the only reason I even know
Mick
this is
Foley.
because my old roommate fucking made me watch this shit every fucking like Monday night or something.
Monday Night Raw.
He'd sit a fucking case of beer and we'd fucking kill it. It's like a goddamn soap opera he made me
Put the
watch.
sock on.
He'd tell
put the
me
sock on,
everything,
stick the sock name out.
everybody. I was like, whatever, I'm fucking drinking beer.
I feel like they used to give Opdahl E&J and make him do the Booker T spinneroonie in the kitchen.
Booker T. Don't fucking
That's
start.
even out of my
I'll
era,
go.
man. When I think of the old wrestlers, I think of when I was a kid, like Legion of Doom and shit like that.
Andre the
Yeah.
Giant,
yeah.
bro.
Legion of Doom with the football pads. I remember that.
Yeah.
James, don't
The
be trying to do the
Bushwhackers.
spinneroonie, dog. You too old for that shit, man. You gonna throw your back out.
Too old.
The only person you could be at this point in time is Bam Bam Bigelow. You can't
Bam
move
Bam,
fast.
that's
You just
old
gotta look
school.
scary. You just
Don't
gotta look
spin.
scary.
Don't try to do
I
that
could
back
be
spin,
Bam
James,
Bam
please.
Bigelow.
Bam Bam's
We
old,
love
man.
you, James. We don't want you to throw your back out, man.
Dude, my back is so fucking wrecked. I'm still fucking splitting wood and throwing logs around.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
We
I'll
just
be
don't.
dead
We just
soon,
don't want
son.
you. No, man, you can't say
No,
that. We need you to be around for a long
that.
time.
Don't say that, James, man. Unless
We
you're
need
doing
you
a lot
to-
of, unless you've been doing a lot of coke, then
Nah, it's not my bag, baby.
that
Tucker,
shit not
you
good
can
for your heart.
definitely not be Kane. That is not happening.
Kane. That's it.
You are-
Undertaker
Hey.
was also
Hey,
Kane. Same dude.
Tuck looked like Kane when they took the mask off.
But
It was the
skinny.
same dude.
Yeah, he looked like
Undertaker
Kane.
and Kane were the same guy.
They weren't the
Nah.
same guy.
Yeah,
Nah,
they
it
were.
wasn't. Nah,
No, they weren't.
Nah, because Kane was that. Kane was
They
that
did this
old.
thing where
Was
they
that
acted like
old
they was
doctor?
brothers.
Yeah, he was that old doctor back in the day. Kane.
And Kane is bald as shit now.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Undertaker still, I say. They're not the
No, they
same
was
guy.
brothers. They wasn't the same dude.
Yo, I got Alzheimer's. I don't fucking know.
It's all good.
All right.
We got you, James. It's over here. We got you.
We still love you, James. But
Shout out to
anyway,
people with Alzheimer's.
You guys bouncing now? So
Shout out to the midgets too.
yeah, I gotta go take out trash and shit.
Hey James,
shout out
James,
to
how
the
you?
midgets? Is that
James,
what you
how
said?
Yeah, James, how you feel about midget strippers?
Listen, we're not doing this.
I'm not afraid.
We know you're not afraid.
My dog. Chris, what about you, Chris?
You know, as long as they're not all thumbs, bro.
I don't have a lot of opinion, but I will say I got a lot of little people, you know, on my Instagram feed now, thanks to Kino.
Yeah, see, that's what happens when you're his fucking friend.
Yep.
That's what fucking happens.
Don't blame me for that. What that is that's like that
dude.
Jason Whitlock thing when he posted like, why is this thing on there? What it is y'all be going around looking at them, and then I'm the only one that's man enough to man enough to admit this.
That's not true.
Like this.
That's not true at all.
That's not true at all.
And you look at it, so all of a sudden they think you like that.
Yeah, he sends it to us all the time.
Nah, Chris be sending me some stuff that I ain't seen yet. He be sending me some
Instagram.
Yeah, the shit that's probably just getting suggested to my fucking feed because of your shit you're sending.
You're like a midget Instagram virus.
Dude, he signed up for mymidget.com, bro.
Yeah, bro.
What's on there? Hey, look, I'll go on there because I'm an equal opportunist. I don't care what race they are. You know,
you should lie to sales for your sociology project.
Long as they hype style with a foe. You
should have
said with a foe.
You should have said you're doing research for a big corporation.
I'm not.
Called
it's a science project.
That's
you ain't shit, James.
Hey.
Oh man.
All right, y'all. We got to get out of here. This has been it for the Chondro Bar Room. I appreciate James and Chris for coming through. Hey, man, we love y'all.
Again.
Hey, y'all know y'all got to come back.
Chondro Keeper's class was dope, man.
And don't listen to Kino about the midgets. But y'all take care and have a good night.
Yeah.
Hey, my timeline been filled with pimp stuff. So.
No, it's not.
Enjoy.